This is the book of Deuteronomy chapter 30 verse 7, and it reads, "And the Lord Yahweh thy power will put all these curses upon thy enemies, and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee." And I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, Waharachah Kodash, which Yahweh, that's the name of the Heavenly Father. Yahweh Shai, that's whom this world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, that's his true name. And the Rachah Kodash, that is the Holy Spirit. And I also want to give double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. And salutations to all you brothers out there. And I want to get into this lesson that's based on this video here, which we're going to play, some portions of this. All right. And I want to get some scriptures out. But I want to start off with that Deuteronomy 30 and 7, because what's happening right now is you're starting to see a power shift, all right, from, Esau, Edom, which is the so-called white man, all right, to the Israelites, which that consists of you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. And just a side note, we also have some of our people that actually look like the other nations due to the fact that our men, they have mixed and mingled with the heathen women. All right, so I just wanted, to put that out there. But point being, though, is you're seeing a shift, all right, a power shift from, Esau, Edom to the Israelites, all right? And in this video, like I said, which we're going to play in a moment, this young Edomite male, all right, he's talking about how, in particular, to be a white male, a conservative white male on top of that, is no benefit in this society. All right. They can't get jobs, when they get out of college. And the reason why is because all these companies, they have to, fulfill these particular requirements. All right. They have to have X amount of women, X amount of, different minority groups, X amount of those who identify as a part of the LGBTQ community, so on and so forth. And even if a, white male, all right, is actually a better candidate than these, other people, they're not going to hire him because, like I said, these companies, they have to fulfill particular requirements now, by law, mind you, okay? And I'll say this, it's their leaders who are doing this, okay? They can't blame, anybody else, all right? But, they're rulers right now, you see? All right? And, these lower level Edomites, they're not enjoying white privilege anymore. That's being, stripped from them. And that's going to lead to eventually a war between, these lower level Edomites and these higher level Edomites. Eventually they're going to, they're gonna create a an uprising. It's eventually gonna happen. All right, but right now what you're seeing, and it's gonna he's gonna say it in this this video, that to be in particular a white male, even though he keeps saying young men, what he means is being a young white male. It's it's hard for them to have any type of drive anymore. Okay. They can't, find women. Even if they do find a woman, these women are now divorcing them at a high rate. All right. First, that was a thing in the so-called black and Latino community. Okay. Broken families. All right. Single, motherhood for our women. The men getting all their assets taken from them. And now it's happening to them. They're starting to feel it. And that's because, the curses are starting to be stripped from us and go on to them. And then now, as he says in this video, all right, you have, or I should say they have, competition with both illegal immigrants and legal immigrants, okay? So they can't find work, all right? And then on top of that, which he doesn't talk about in this video, that's having their women, okay, go to these other nations. Hey, the white woman is with the black man, the Latin man, all right, the Native American man. Hey, they're with the East Indian man. They're with the Arab man. You go to these big cities like Chicago, okay, you know, New York, you know, so on and so forth. You're seeing the white woman with the other nations. And best believe and trust me, that's really bothering them. You know, the Lord is not, you know, with these people anymore. You know? The Lord is, like I said, is slowly stripping away their power. And let me get this scripture and then we'll play a little bit of this video. And this video is from the Poor Man's Podcast. All right. And this video is entitled "Why Young Men Aren't Working Anymore," which actually, you know, I think this guy did a response to it. Basically, he entitled it "Why Young White Men Aren't Working Anymore." All right, but let me get this real quick. This is Sirach, Salakia. Let me get, yeah, Sirach 12. No, it's Sirach 10. Excuse me. This is Sirach chapter 10, verse 4, and it reads, "The power of the earth is in the hand of the Lord, and in due time he will set over it one that is profitable." Okay, you see, the power of the earth is in the hand of the Lord. The Lord, he raises up a nation. He brings down a nation. You see? And right now we're seeing the downfall of Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. And we're in particular seeing the rise, okay, of the Israelites. Like I said, you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. All right? It's pretty evident that our people are starting to, you know, rise up. All right? And in particular, this spiritual movement that we're doing. You know, our people returning back to their true, you know, heritage and nationality, which is being a Hebrew Israelite. But I'll say this too, even on a carnal level, you're seeing, you know, the Israelite, you know, man dominating. Okay? It doesn't matter if it's sports, okay? In the, you know, at the office, you know, at these, you know, different restaurants, so on and so forth. Our people are coming up. You know, they're owning the businesses. They're the managers. Okay? And they're the ones calling the shots. Not these guys anymore. Now, yeah, they still have, you know, power in this earth. But I'm telling you, it's slipping from them. Okay? Let me keep reading. "And in due time, he will set over it one that is profitable." And, you know, as it says here, let me get this scripture. Since in particular, the elect is honoring wisdom, is bringing forth the kingdom now. All right? This is Wisdom of Solomon chapter 6, verse 20. "Therefore, the desire of wisdom bringeth to a kingdom. If your delight be then in thrones and scepters, O ye kings of the people, honor wisdom, that ye may reign forevermore." And that's what we're seeing right now. The elect is returning back to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, practicing wisdom, and now you're starting to see this kingdom crumble. All right? But let's play this video, and then we'll pull out a couple more precepts.
There's been a massive trend of young guys not entering the labor force. They're not getting jobs. They're not getting internships. They're just kind of chilling. And a lot of old heads just cannot possibly comprehend why young guys would not want to start producing capital and saving for, you know, a 4-bedroom house. It's the completely reasonable price of $8 million a day. And I think the main problem is just the incentive structure.
Yeah.
Our grandparents, our dad's generation, they kind of had this like unspoken agreement with society where if they worked hard, they got a job, they kind of put the grind in, they would probably be able to find a good wife that will stay with them, that will not rip them to shreds in the divorce courts and take their kids and half their assets. And they would also have a company that would kind of stick with them through the ups and downs. They would be able to have a secure job, and they didn't really have all the competition we have today with illegal immigrants, with mass legal immigration of all these people from India and China, these highly skilled, like the cream of the crop from other countries are now coming to America and stealing a lot of the highly intensive IQ jobs, big law, tech, medicine.
What he's saying is true, but I'd be careful using the word steal because they're not stealing. They're just out-competing. Now, I will say I understand what he's saying because...
Exactly. All right. You see, Esau, Edom, you know, they don't want to deal with the accountability or reality of things. All right. Like the Jake said, I wouldn't call that stealing. You're just getting, you know, out-competed. And that's true. Okay. Because really, the so-called white man, he's really not an intelligent individual. The only reason why his kingdom is so successful is because of his you know, because of rape, robbery, and murder. Basically ill-gotten gain. Okay? That's the only reason why it's so successful. Because these people are complete fools. If you really sit down, okay, and deal with Edomites, you know, regularly, you understand that they are not wise. They make poor decisions. They're very, you know, sensual, carnal, you know. They don't, you know, think about, you know, long-term, you know, investments and long-term, what's the word I'm looking for lack of words, you know, reactions to their decision-making, all right? They don't think about these things. That's why they always have to have a Jake around. Or even these heathens now. You know, like the guy said, you know, you got these different East Indians, all right? You know, these Chinese, Japanese. You know, and that's what's making them successful. But, you know, I'll say this. It's making the those who own those big corporations successful. But what's happening is to these lower level Edomites that you see on screen, they're taking L's right now. They're taking L's. And you see it all the time. Okay? I'm telling you. You know, you go to you know, these different, you know, bars, you know, restaurants, clubs, whatever, right? Different venues. You see a bunch of Edomite women with the heathen nations or one of the tribes. I'm telling you, I see it a lot. All right, being out here in Chicago, and it's bothering them. You know, they may not show it, you know, at the job. They may not show it, all right, you know, on their day-to-day walk, so to speak. Hey, but put a little liquor in them, all right, and, you know, you get them, you know, to talk a little bit. I'll say this, I'm able to talk to these people, and they kind of pour out their true feelings because they think I'm a so-called white man myself, which I'm not, all right? But they, you know, they you know, because of my, you know, my physical appearance, you know, it deceives them. It makes them feel comfortable. And I'm telling you, you know, things come out, okay? Things come out. And they're pissed, man. They're angry. And a lot of them are, they're just at a point too where they're just ready just to, you know, commit suicide, literally. This ain't worth living anymore. I lost my kids in a divorce. My woman's getting, you know, banged by a black guy. He's getting banged by, you know, a Puerto Rican and Mexican. He's done, man. All right. His daughter's, you know, with one of the tribes. His son's a homosexual. He's just through. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, this is the reality of it. And it's beautiful because, like I said, the Lord is doing this. He's the one that's throwing all these curses on the Esau now. And that's because they set up these traps for us to fall in. Okay? You see? And now they're falling into these pits. You know? Let me get that. Let me see if I can find that. All right? I know it's in the... give me 1 second. I know it's in the book of Psalms. Let me see if I can find it. This is... Yep, this is... Psalm 7:15, and it reads, "He made a pit and digged it, and is fallen into the ditch which he made." And I'll say this, back in the day, these lower level Edomites, they were putting hell on Jake. Okay? They were, setting up all these different, laws. All right, messing with Jake at the job. Okay? Making our lives a living hell, man. In the 50s, 60s, 70s. You know what I'm saying? Now it's coming back to them. All right? Like I said, hey, look, these Edomites that got, the real money, Jake didn't deal with them. You know what I'm saying? Jake barely dealt with, that type of a level. It's these lower level Edomites that we were dealing with day to day. And see, they're just mad because, hey, they're not getting a piece of the pie anymore. You see? Let's keep watching this.
As an American, you would assume that since your ancestors died in wars and have been paying taxes for generations, you would get some type of priority when it came to these types of jobs. But you don't want to start using words like steal and getting upset at the East Asians. I'm going to just tell you right now, if you're an American and you're focusing on your mental health, you're not going to be able to compete against the East Asian. Those people are very highly focused and they're very grateful to be in the country and to get the opportunities that they have, and they're not going to waste it talking about or complaining about mental health. East Asians are damn near half calculator. They operate like computers. Now, not very creative people, I must say, but when given a task and a structure, a hierarchy with clear incentives and clear goals, you're not out-competing an East Asian. But you shouldn't be angry at the East Asians for taking opportunities that are...
Right, and just to make a point, he was saying they're very focused, okay? Very, very focused. And you got to remember, these, in particular, these Eastern cultures, they haven't drank, all right, so much of that Babylon juice. Now, of course, they have a little bit, but they still have, their what's the word I'm looking for? Their moral structure intact. They believe in a family unit. Even though it's these are false gods. Let's just say the Muslim faith and the Buddhism, Hinduism. Right? Those are, false, religions. Point being, though, is they still worship these things. And in those religions, there's still some good in it, so to speak. All right? They teach you about having, good morals. All right? Like I said, a family structure. Those religions don't believe in, they don't believe in basically, homosexual activities, so on and so forth. All right? And that makes a man produce better. You see, in those societies, they don't use any drugs like that. Okay? They barely even drink alcohol. And that's just real talk. You see? But in the American society, it's a free-for-all. They do drugs, all right? Party all the time. Get into, all these, sexual deviancies. You know what I'm saying? Screw one another. That's another thing, too. These people, they work as a community, all right? That's why all these, major companies, right? They got these, like, for instance, like Wingstop, Dunkin' Donuts, so on and so forth, right? They have what they call franchises, and they're independently owned. Yes, they these people, have to pay the major corporation to use that, said name, right? To use the Dunkin' Donuts brand or the Wingstop or whatever, the Smoothie King, right? But they actually own that particular franchise, you see? And in particular, these East Indians, what they do is they hire all their family members. And then they help them get their own Dunkin' Donuts, their own Wingstop. You see? But in America, that doesn't happen. People are blood related, and they don't even help one another out. They'll actually backstab each other. That's the American way. And that's why these people aren't successful anymore. You see? Let me keep reading. Or let's keep watching this. Excuse me.
Given to them, you should be angry at the government and the companies for not prioritizing the people of this country when they use the infrastructure that we use our tax money to pay. Due to globalization, companies are no longer loyal to the countries that they operate in. They are their own countries at this point.
There's no sort of home court advantage for the American young guy anymore. If you're like an American white young guy, kind of like me, I have a lot of things going for me, but even in my position, there are still a lot of things that are kind of slanted against me, where our dad's generation, like granddad's generation, they kind of had privilege. Like white privilege was definitely a thing back then. Nowadays, you have to work even harder than minorities. You have to say that you're some sort of trans Native American descendant or something like that to get into a top university, to get into these top jobs. And it just doesn't really make sense to grind so freaking hard as a young guy.
All right. And like, I mentioned earlier, the reason why these companies are hiring all these different, ethnic groups, and they hire females, hire these different sexual orientations, is so they can follow, all right, these requirements that are put into place by law. All right, let me get a precept real quick. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 10. All right, verse 1. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that write grievousness which they have prescribed. All right, and look, their leaders are the ones who are writing these unrighteous decrees, which means laws. Okay, and you see now these guys got to follow the layout now. And look, the white man, all right, the common white man is taking L's. And they are pissed, man. They are pissed about this. Or it's not giving them any drive. And this is what this guy is going to go into. Because it's basically like two type of Edomites now, or low-level Edomites. You got the ones that are pissed off, and the ones that are they just giving up on life. Okay? But let's just listen to this guy a little bit more.
When you don't feel like you're going to be able to get a girlfriend or have a successful marriage or have a company that will stay loyal to you, you're always dispensable. We've seen these layoffs, just like a light switch with these companies. It seems like the most efficient kind of path forward is just to not delay gratification and just enjoy life right now, which usually includes, for young guys, smoking and drinking, playing video games, and just kind of enjoying life while you can, because we don't really feel like the future is very bright for us, and we don't feel like this kind of unspoken social contract that our dads and our grandparents had with the American economy. It's been completely shattered for us. And
that's true. And that was designed by the elites, okay? Because look, if you're not in their circle, they don't care about you. They really don't. And see, that's the mindset of these Edomites. They don't care if their own kind are in shambles. Like I said, if you're not in that particular circle, hey man, good luck to you. And you're through. All right? You're absolutely through.
Not have good faith that a company will do what's right by me. And I've seen that a lot of companies kind of hate me. I'm a Christian conservative white guy, and that's like pretty much the freaking devil to any sort of major corporation in America, or so it seems. And dating dynamics are so freaking skewed.
Right.
You've got so many single guys who have never dated, have never had sex, have never had any sort of success with a woman. And if you find yourself at like 24, 25, never had a girlfriend, it's like, I don't really see this realistically panning out for me.
Yeah.
Why am I going to work? I can get a check from the government. I can live at my parents' house. I can kind of lay low and play video games 8 hours a day. I can smoke. I can hang out. That's pretty fun. Like day to day, that is a pretty fun life.
I think society and women have forgotten that men don't work for power. Men work for love. And if a man doesn't feel like he has the potential for having a family, it doesn't matter how much you try to pay him. He'll just stop working. Also, when men don't have families, they become less inspired to become more responsible. When a man has a woman and a child and he knows that his decisions are going to affect them, you tend to make more responsible decisions as a man because you know it affects the people that you love. Yeah, so if men ain't got nobody to be responsible for, we gonna drink, we gonna smoke, we gonna play video games, and we just gonna chill out. Men gear themselves towards freedom, and the only reason we exchange our freedom is for security, and usually that security is to secure a life for our families. If we don't have that, there's just no need. We'll just keep being free.
A lot of guys, like the self-improvement guys on YouTube, are always like, oh, you're going to get massively depressed and everything. Yeah, long term, it will be terrible for you.
Yeah.
But day to day,
Sure.
that's not like a bad time. I'm
Right.
probably going to get crucified for saying that, but I think we can all admit that, like, playing video games, chilling, smoking weed, drinking, that is fun.
Yeah.
And we know that that's going to be instantly
Can be.
fun. So a lot of guys will say, I'll take the bird in the hand versus two in the bush, because we've kind of realized that the two in the bush are not there anymore. They were there for our father's generation. Our father's generation had a general sense that I'm going to be able to have a successful marriage and kids. I'm going to work for a company that has my best interest in mind, that will stick with me through the ups and downs of the economy, that will let me climb the corporate ladder as I put more hours in. That's not true for us. We work for companies that hate us. We don't have any hope for a marriage because we can't find a freaking girlfriend. We don't have the social agreement that they were afforded. So our incentive to work is pretty much working to come home to an empty house and pay taxes to a government that will distribute it to people that hate us, that don't look like us, that don't believe what we believe. Why would we do this? We're pretty much like getting cucked on a lot of levels if you're just grinding away for such little payoff, for such little promise. It just makes...
Exactly. And that's, what's happening, all right, to the average white male. Okay? They're just, absolutely through. Okay? They're getting the short end of the stick now. And, like I said, they're either becoming very angry or just unmotivated. And that's that. Like how he's, I don't know if he said it as of yet. I know he says it at some point. That he's like, man, it's just better off just, staying at home, getting that check, smoking and drinking and living in the, at the parents' house. You see? They are just done. Okay? And then, he talks about the dating scene. Like I said, all these heathen men are taking up their women now. Okay? And then what's their pick? What, a black woman? The lowest of the low? You know what I'm saying? Some drugged out, white woman? All their top, top tier women are with Jakes. And then if they're not with Jakes, they're going to be with some type of heathen. You see what I'm saying? That's really the reality of these things. And then, these women, we know it, as Israelite men, these women are terrible. All right? And now, they're starting to feel the curses. You see? But, I'm going to get this scripture. This is Sirach chapter 41. I'm going to start at 5. And it reads, the children of sinners are abominable children, and they that are conversant in the dwelling of the ungodly. The inheritance of sinners' children shall perish, and their posterity shall have a perpetual reproach. You see, the inheritance of sinners' children shall perish. So they're losing everything right now. All right? The Lord is making them take L's. Look, a guy like this, he can't get a nice house anymore. All right? He can't get a secondary house. He can't get a boat anymore. He's got to live in a basic 2-bedroom apartment and probably pay some East Indian, all right, some Arab, some, Chinese, rent money now. That's what's happening. Okay? Then he's got to look at, at the black woman, all right, at the job being his boss. Because I remember he said it in this video. I'm not going to play this whole video because it's, about 15, 20 minutes. But he says in this video that he's got to deal with the 55-year-old woman every day that hates him. You see, he doesn't say the nationality. Hey, but like I said, a lot of these so-called black women, all right, are actually in high positions in these companies. That's probably his boss. And that's what he's got to deal with. He's absolutely through, man. And there's many like him. And he's trying to have some type of positive outlook on things. But you could tell when he was talking about just basically living off the government, hanging out at his parents' house in the basement, smoking and drinking. He looked happy. He looked happy about it. Like, man, that's really what I want to do. But he's trying to fight, that urge to do it. Like how he said, I don't want to work. But he's trying to prove a point. And look, hey, at the end of the day, these guys are going to take the fattest L ever. All right? But let me keep reading. This is Sirach 41. And I'm going to read 6 again. The inheritance of sinners' children shall perish, and their posterity, meaning like their offspring, okay, shall have a perpetual reproach. And everybody hates the so-called white man, Esau, Edom, okay? No one likes this guy. The only people that like the so-called white man are some super duper, all right, coons of of the tribes, okay? Or basically just these women who actually think this guy is still, the hunk of the earth. Some black woman, all right, some just some low-level, it's always some low-level black woman, Latin woman, or just some, random Asian chick. You know what I'm saying? But even then, that stuff is starting to wear out. Because a lot of these, different tribe women, all right, different Israelite women and the different heathen women are realizing that he's not that successful, all right? And he's terrible to be around. So he's even losing that too. And like I said, his women, they're with everybody else but him. So he's through, man. And then you see a lot of white women making videos about white men, how they can't stand them. Hey, how do you like them curses, man? Hey, we had to deal with that. That's Deuteronomy the 28th chapter. How the wife is going to have an evil eye towards her husband. They're dealing with it now too. How do you like that? It don't feel good, huh? But it was funny when it was happening to us. We were the butt of jokes. Not so much anymore, though. Let's keep reading. This is Sirach 41:7. The children will complain of an ungodly father, because they shall be reproached for his sake. And that's basically what's happening right now with what you see. All right? He's really complaining about his situation. And he's dealing with all the reproach right now. All right? He's dealing with all the backlash. These upper level Edomites, look, they don't deal with the peons of this society. They live in top, tier penthouses. They live in all these different gated communities. They got different estates, which consist of, all sorts of mansions. You know what I mean? They live in all these different countries. They don't have to deal with anything, so to speak. It's you lower level ones that are sitting there having to eat all this up, so to speak. You know? And you're mad. But look, hey, in the 50s and 60s, like how this guy was mentioning, your grandfathers and fathers, right? Hey, when they were successful, guess what they were doing? They were making Jake, work, a bunch of overtime, getting them fired, chasing them, beating them, possibly hanging them, shooting them. That's what was happening. During his grandfather's times, his great-great-grandfather's times. You know what I'm saying? Even in his father's times. So everything was cool. It was cool back then, but now it ain't cool. Hey, but you know what? You're gonna deal with this, with this shit, okay? Whether you like it or not. Enjoy it. But I'm gonna end this lesson, and you can watch the whole video. All right, like I said, this guy's YouTube channel is the Poor Man's Podcast Reactions. And it says, young white men are quitting the workforce. All right. And it is a little bit more, but, you look it up, All right. If you, like I said, if you want to watch it. It's a funny video. Actually, it'll make you laugh when you watch this whole thing. All right. But I'm going to end this lesson. With that, I'm going to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Also, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. And salutations to all your brothers out there. Shalom.